Hey sis, welcome back to You Can't Handle the Truth. Today's episode, we're getting all up in your spiritual business because too many of us have been told we're too sensitive when really, we're just spiritually gifted and emotionally tired.
Ooh, the amount of red flags I turned into DIY projects? Yeah, we're not doing that anymore. Today we're breaking cycles, and yes, we brought the holy receipts.
And for the brothers listening, or the women still decoding their patterns with men, let's talk about what your silence has been trying to say before your mouth ever did.
Let me take you back. I was 27, standing in someone's kitchen, holding a truth that was trembling inside my chest. And before I could finish my sentence, he cut me off and said, "You're reading too much into it. You're just too sensitive." That phrase. It buried itself deep in my skin like I had to apologize for feeling energy shift before the words caught up. But here's the truth. I wasn't being dramatic. I was being discerning.
Girl, let me tell you. I once told a friend something didn't feel right about her new man, about her new energy, about the way she started pulling back. And she said, "You're just in your head." No, I wasn't in my head. I was in my body. My spirit clocked it before she even admitted he was manipulating her.
Let's name it. Calling someone too sensitive is one of the oldest control tactics in the book. It's how people invalidate what they can't manage. It's how society tells women to hush, how families silence black sheep, and how trauma teaches us to doubt our inner GPS. But being sensitive, that's not a flaw. That's a frequency.
From a male perspective, I'll be honest, we're not always taught to respect sensitivity. We're told to look for logic, proof, receipts. But the more I've healed, the more I've realized sensitivity is spiritual intel, and y'all been picking up what men been trying to hide.
Say that again, Andre, because here's what they don't tell you. Sensitivity is not weakness. It's wisdom with a heartbeat. It's early warning. It's spirit-led strategy. To everyone listening, I want you to pause and ask yourself, when was the first time you started mistrusting your own truth? Who told you your inner voice was too loud, too much, too early? Was it a parent, a partner, a church? What would happen if today you gave that voice back her microphone?
Because that voice, that's the part of you that always knew. Before the red flags, before the receipts, before the I told you so's. She knew, and you shut her down.
We've been gaslit into thinking our knowing has to come with evidence, that our boundaries need bullet points, that our gut feelings need peer reviews. No, sis. Your intuition is enough. Your body is enough. Your quiet, unsettled feeling in a conversation is enough.
Sensitivity is not emotional chaos. It's a finely tuned compass. But if you've been raised in dysfunction, you'll mistake calm for boring and chaos for chemistry.
Wow. Say that again, Andre. Let's sit with that for a second. Close your eyes. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold it. Exhale slowly. Now ask yourself gently, where in my life have I been ignoring what I already know? Don't fix it. Just feel it.
Affirmation. I am no longer available for emotional dismissal.
I honor my knowing. I protect my sensitivity.
Because I wasn't paranoid. I was prophetic.
Let's go deeper. Because discernment, it's not just spiritual, it's biological, neurological, ancestral. Your body has always been working with your spirit. The problem is you were taught to separate them. Let's bring them back into alignment.
Discernment isn't a guess, it's a download. But most of us ignore it because we've been trained to trust logic over embodiment. We're taught if you can't prove it, it's not real. But science is finally catching up to what your grandmother already knew.
Let's talk about neuroception. That's the subconscious system your body uses to scan for safety or danger. It's not something you think about. It's something you feel. That tightness in your chest, that heat behind your eyes, that gut punch when someone walks in the room. That's not drama. That's data.
Ooh, listen. I used to get this pull-back feeling with someone every time I'd see their name pop up. But I'd ignore it, tell myself I was being judgmental. Nope. That was my spirit saying we don't do that anymore.
We override it because we were trained in survival, not discernment. So when peace feels unfamiliar, we call it boring. And when chaos feels like home, we call it passion.
Here's how it plays out. You walk into a room and you don't like the energy, but you override it because the person is attractive, successful, or says all the right things. Meanwhile, your nervous system is on high alert like, this ain't it. But you silence your body for the sake of being polite.
That silence is what keeps us in spiritual debt. Because discernment is free, but ignoring it always costs something. Let's have a spiritual plus science moment. Let's break it down even more. The gut-brain axis is real. Your gut literally communicates with your brain through the vagus nerve. That off feeling, it's your second brain trying to warn you. Add trauma on top of that, and your system might not only sense danger, but expect it. Discernment gets distorted when our trauma goes unhealed.
Yes, because sometimes we're not discerning. We're just triggered.
And the work is learning to tell the difference. Is it my fear or is it my knowing?
Let's name the difference. Discernment is calm, clear, and anchored. It feels like a quiet no. Reactivity is fast, urgent, and chaotic. It feels like get them before they get me.
Discernment doesn't rush you, it grounds you. It's not panic, it's presence.
Let's check in. Take a moment right now and think about a decision you're sitting with. Ask yourself, do I feel urgency or do I feel clarity? Urgency can be trauma. Clarity, that's discernment.
And if you're not sure, sit with it. Ask your body before you ask your friends.
Say that again, sis. Your body is the first confirmation. Everything else is commentary. Affirmation. I trust my pace. I trust my body. I trust my pause. Discernment doesn't require evidence, just alignment. Let's be real. Some of us don't just miss red flags, we iron them, fold them, and pack them in our overnight bag. Not because we don't see them, but because we've been trained to give benefit of the doubt more than benefit of discernment.
Ooh, say that louder. Because I've folded some flags into full-on quilts. He said, I'm not really ready for anything serious. And I said, well, maybe if I love him gently, he'll change his mind. Sis, that was not a mystery. That was a memo.
Let me speak for the fellas for a sec. Some of us are very honest up front. But when you override what we say because you're listening to our potential instead of our pattern, you're going to end up hurt.
Let's break these red flags down into 3 categories. Emotional, spiritual, somatic body-based, emotional red flags. Inconsistency, love bombing, then withdrawing. Passive aggression masked as jokes. Boundary testing in the form of charm.
If they only apologize after they've been caught, that's not growth, that's strategy.
Or if they're super romantic but can't hold space when you're grieving or tired, that's not emotional availability, that's emotional theater.
Watch for when someone shows up for the performance of intimacy but disappears when real presence is required. Spiritual red flags. Manipulating faith or spiritual language to bypass accountability. Using God told me as a way to guilt or control. Energy that leaves you drained, confused, or foggy after every interaction.
If someone keeps praying for you, but never respects your boundaries, that ain't ministry, that's manipulation.
Discernment isn't just about actions, it's about energetic residue. Do you feel more yourself after they leave, or less?
Because listen, confusion is a red flag. Clarity is of God. If you're constantly trying to decode what someone meant, that's not connection, that's a trap. Somatic red flags. Your body always knows. Here's what to watch for. Tightness in your throat. Gut clenching when you see their name. Feeling small or unsure in their presence. Needing to over-explain yourself constantly.
My body used to go into full shutdown, but I called it butterflies. No, ma'am, that was a warning, not a crush.
I tell people all the time, the body stores receipts long before your brain is ready to process the truth.
Let me ask you this. What's one red flag you over-explained, rationalized, or tried to pray away? Where did you override your knowing for the sake of the story you wanted? Write it down. Name it. Forgive yourself for not leaving sooner, and then reclaim your clarity. Breathe in for 4. Hold for 4. Exhale for 6. Now whisper this to yourself. Next time, I won't ask for confirmation from confusion.
Because red flags don't need debate. They need decisions.
And the longer you stay, the more you teach them your boundaries are negotiable.
Don't fold another flag into your healing journey. Hang it up, mark it, and let it wave as a reminder. You don't owe your peace to people who gamble with your clarity. Let me tell you something real. Words are rehearsed. Energy isn't. People can memorize a script, drop the right phrases, say what sounds holy, but the body tells on them every single time.
Yep, because energy never lies, baby. You ever been in a room with someone smiling in your face, but something in your body whispered, leave? That was truth, trying to tap you on the shoulder before trauma took the mic.
Body language isn't just about who's lying. It's about who's trying to perform peace while internally preparing for war. People say I'm fine with their mouths, but their feet, their jaw, their eyes, they all say different.
There's a reason the FBI studies body language. Because microexpressions, those quick, involuntary facial shifts, reveal real emotion before the mask slips back on. If you learn to observe instead of just absorb, you'll see the truth before it's said. Common red flag cues in body language: jaw tightening, shoulders rising near the ears, arms crossed but only after certain topics, sudden fidgeting or swallowing hard, smiling with the mouth but not the eyes.
Watch the eyes. If they look away every time you mention your needs, that's not shy, that's avoidant. And baby, if their laugh don't reach their eyes when they say I love you, don't play with that.
Here's my go-to, the exit foot. If someone's body is facing you, but their feet are angled toward the door, they've mentally already bounced. Their spirit is on Uber, waiting for the ride.
Here's another one. If someone only touches their face, scratches their nose, or shifts their body after you ask a direct question, that's a physiological reaction to discomfort, which might be deception or withholding. Reflection prompt. What's one time your body caught the truth before your mind could explain it? Where did you feel something before you heard it? Close your eyes. Picture someone who's felt off to you recently. Now imagine them walking toward you. Notice your shoulders, your breath, your gut. Does your body lean in or pull back?
I used to think it was rude to say, I don't know why, but I don't trust them. Now, that's my green light to disengage.
The body speaks in yes and no, not maybe. When in doubt, watch the hands, watch the feet, watch the tone behind the tone.
You don't need a psychic reading to catch bad energy. You've been reading vibes your whole life. You just forgot that your nervous system is an oracle. Affirmation. I trust what my body knows even before words confirm it. My discernment is not dramatic. It's divine intelligence. Let's talk about silence not as punishment, not as avoidance, but as prophetic clarity. Silence isn't weakness. It's wisdom with its volume turned down. There's a difference between being silent because you're scared and being silent because you've already said enough.
Ooh, say that. There was a time when I used to over-explain every decision, every boundary, every shift in energy. I didn't want to seem rude or cold or unhealed, but now, silence is my self-respect. My peace doesn't come with a paragraph.
From the masculine lens, a lot of men mistake women's silence as either disinterest or submission. But real silence, the kind y'all give when you're done trying to be understood, that's the silence that shifts rooms.
Let's unpack it. You don't have to perform closure. You don't owe anyone a 10-slide carousel explaining why your spirit told you to leave. Sometimes silence is the full sentence. Different kinds of silence. Protective silence, you're keeping peace by disengaging. Reflective silence, you're listening, observing, collecting data. Strategic silence, you're withholding reaction to watch patterns. Sacred silence, you're honoring your knowing without apology.
Let me say it plain. Not everybody deserves access to your voice print. If they fumbled your presence, they don't get your processing.
And silence doesn't mean avoidance. It means I'm not negotiating my truth anymore. If you needed me to yell it to hear me, then you were never listening.
And this right here is the real shift. We are no longer explaining our peace practices to people addicted to our pain patterns. Listener prompt. Where have I been talking when I really need to stop responding? What would it look like to let your silence speak without guilt? Sit in stillness for 60 seconds. No music, no affirmations, just breathe. Ask your spirit, where have I overtalked my knowing? Let the silence answer.
Silence is where my clarity finds me, where my nervous system exhales, where I come home to myself without interruption.
And for the brothers listening, learn to respect silence as a sacred space, not a threat. Not every woman who stops talking is bitter. Some are just done wasting language on lost causes.
Because here's what I know. If I have to explain my boundary more than once, I'm no longer enforcing a limit. I'm hosting a debate. And I don't debate with confusion anymore. Affirmation. My silence is sacred. My peace is not performative. I no longer speak to be believed. I choose to be aligned. Let's be honest. Some of us don't just miss red flags. We're in full-blown reruns watching the same relationship, friendship, or emotional lesson on repeat. With different faces, different names, but the exact same wound underneath. That's not fate. That's a pattern.
Girl, I used to think I had a type. Turns out my type was just unresolved trauma-wearing cologne. He looked new, but he felt familiar. And familiar doesn't mean safe. It means recycled pain.
Let's name this for what it is. Repetition compulsion. That's when the psyche tries to resolve past pain by recreating it, hoping for a different outcome. So you keep attracting people who mirror your wounds. Because your spirit's like, maybe this time we get it right. But healing doesn't happen by reenacting. It happens by releasing.
When you keep reliving a lesson, it's not because you're broken. It's because part of you still thinks it's your job to fix what hurt you. But it's not your job to heal through performance. It's your job to recognize the exit sign when the cycle shows up again. Emotional loops we normalize. Giving access to people who trigger your abandonment wound, confusing chaos with chemistry, feeling at home with people who create emotional tension, over-explaining as a love language, shrinking in the name of peace.
And let's talk about how society tells women, especially women over 40, that being chosen is the goal. So you keep choosing yourself last just to be picked first. Let that marinate.
Or how we think if we love them harder, they'll finally choose us softly. Nah, love doesn't need to prove itself through struggle. That's not partnership, that's emotional labor.
Right now, I want you to write this down. What feels familiar but also hurts me? Where do I keep getting the same result even with new people? When you identify a pattern, you create a pause. And in that pause, you create power. Close your eyes. Visualize the last 3 people you gave energy to who didn't feel safe, aligned, or healthy. Now imagine your future self standing behind you, whispering, "We've done this before, let's choose different."
I started breaking my loops the day I stopped needing closure from the people who caused them. Sometimes healing is the goodbye you say without the explanation.
Breaking a pattern doesn't always feel good at first. It feels lonely. It feels quiet. It feels uncertain. But that's not punishment. It's preparation for something different.
So if you're listening and thinking, dang, I've been stuck in this same emotional rerun for years, here's your permission slip. You can stop now. You don't need a final chapter to walk away from a book that's already hurting you. Affirmation. I no longer confuse patterns with purpose. I don't need a repeat to prove I've learned. I choose peace over performance, again and again. Before we had therapists, before we had trauma language, before we had podcasts or healing TikToks, we had knowing. We had grandmothers who felt it in their bones. We had aunties who side-eyed spirits before they ever said a word. We had mamas who would dream a thing and then warn you before it happened. That wasn't paranoia. That was prophetic pattern recognition.
My grandmother used to say God talks to me in dreams. If I see it, I believe it. But if I feel it, I move. And I didn't get it back then. But now I know that feeling in your gut, that jolt in your spirit, that's ancestral technology.
So many women carry gifts they've been talked out of. Y'all dream things before they happen. You feel shifts in a room that no one else will name. You sense when somebody's smiling, but their energy is smirking. That's not extra. That's encoded.
Let's say it clearly. Intuition is inheritance. Discernment is divine memory. Your inner knowing didn't start with you, it survived to get to you. And we are the first generation with the language to heal what we always knew. Here are some signs of ancestral intuition. Dreaming about people before they call. Waking up with heaviness for no logical reason. Feeling a no in your body before your mind can explain. Sensing death, endings, or betrayal without proof. Getting clear downloads in the middle of silence.
There are women listening right now who've been told their gifts are too much, who've been told they're imagining things, overreacting, or making it about them. But your nervous system, your dreams, your body, it's all archiving wisdom. You are the oracle.
You ever notice how so many women just knew they were being lied to? Didn't have the receipts, but had the recording in their spirit. We gotta stop calling that crazy and start calling that calibrated.
Let's do something powerful right now. All my listeners out there, close your eyes. Picture a time when you knew something wasn't right, but everyone else said you were overthinking it. What did you feel? Where did it live in your body? Now say this out loud. I believe me now. Place your hand on your chest. Take 3 slow breaths. Whisper. To the women who came before me, thank you for the knowing. I am listening now.
We don't need outside validation to trust what's been inside us for generations. This is your lineage speaking through your clarity.
And for the men listening, sometimes the most sacred thing you can do is not doubt her. When a woman says something's not right, don't dismiss it. Honor it.
You don't need the whole map to move in alignment. Sometimes God only gives you a feeling, and your job is to respect it like it's evidence. Because it is. Affirmation. I trust what I feel. I honor my inner knowing. I walk with the wisdom of those who dream me forward. Before we go, I want you to come back to yourself. Not the version of you who's performing, fixing, people-pleasing. The version of you who knew even when no one believed her. The part of you who whispered no when everyone else cheered yes. The girl who flinched at fake love. The woman who finally said, I'm done. Let's talk to her. Now here is Natalie's letter to her past self. Hey love, you don't owe anyone your clarity just because they couldn't handle your conviction. You don't need a final conversation to validate your exit. You already knew. You knew before the lie, before the betrayal, before the apology that never came. You are not too sensitive. You are not too complicated. You are not hard to love. You are just finally aware, and awareness changes everything. Thank you for surviving when it was easier to stay silent. I'm listening now, and I will never abandon your knowing again. With truth, you...
Oh, that letter? That's the one I wish someone wrote to me before I started shrinking for people who didn't even know how to see me. So here's mine. To the me who begged to be understood. We're done begging. We're soft now, but we're not silent. We cry, but we don't collapse. We can walk away with a full heart and no explanation. You did what you had to do to stay alive. But now we're living.
And from the masculine lens, to every woman who gave a second, third, or 10th chance, to the women who loved men still in rehearsal, thank you. We see you. You didn't fail. You grew. And to the part of you still seeking closure, it's not something you get. It's something you give yourself.
Look in the mirror right now. Seriously, if you can, and say this out loud. I trust you. I hear you. I believe you. Because when you trust yourself, you stop needing permission to choose peace. Close your eyes. Place your hands over your heart. Take 3 deep breaths. Inhale, I trust my truth. Exhale, I release what I've been holding too long. Let silence follow. Let peace arrive. Sis, you're not paranoid. You're prophetic. You've been reading energy longer than they've been playing games. And now you're choosing discernment as your strategy, not your apology.
Send us a voice note. or sit in stillness and say your truth out loud, just for you. And share this episode with a woman who is done doubting what she already knows.
You don't need to whisper anymore. You can witness now.
This is You Can't Handle the Truth. And this was episode 22. You're not paranoid. You're prophetic. Say less. No more. Walk louder.